der spröden Kälte eines Grenzlandmorgens stand Norah Ashford zerbrochen auf dem frostüberzogenen Verandavorplatz des einzigen Zuhauses, das sie je gekannt hatte. 23 Jahre alt, verwitwet und erschöpft, umklammerte sie ihre abgetragene Teppichtasche wie ein Rettungsanker, ihr kastanienbraunes Haar vom Wind zerzaust, der Grausamkeiten durch die Traufen flüsterte. Tränen bahnten sich lautlose Pfade über ihre Wangen, als die Tür hinter ihr zuschlug. Ein letztes, unerbittliches Echo von der Familie, die sie geboren hatte, nur um sie verstoßen zu lassen. »Papa, bitte«, hatte sie gefleht, ihre Stimme ein zerbrechlicher Faden gegen den Sturm ihrer Verachtung. Doch die Worte ihres Vaters hatten tiefer geschnitten als jede Klinge. »Du bist keine Tochter von uns mehr. Zu zerbrochen, zu lästig. Geh und komm nie wieder.« Die Stadt jenseits des Tores summte bereits von Murmeln, die sie in ihr Gewebe des Spottes webten. Eine Witwe, die für das Grab verantwortlich gemacht wurde, das sie hinterlassen hatte. Allein in der weiten, gleichgültigen Grauheit wandte Norah ihr Gesicht dem Horizont zu, ihr Herz ein hohler Schmerz. Ablehnung war ihr Erbe, doch in diesem Moment der völligen Verzweiflung flackerte ein schwacher, ungewollter Funke auf. Das Überleben verlangte, dass sie sich bewegte, selbst ins Unbekannte. Her life had been a relentless forge of hardship, each blow tempering her spirit, yet leaving scars that no fire could erase. At 17, deemed too wide to wed proper by her own kin, she had been bartered off like surplus grain to a rough-hewn rancher twice her age. A hasty union to lift the shadow of shame from her parents' threshold. The marriage was a cage of quiet endurance, his hands calloused from labor but gentle in fleeting ways, until fever claimed him 3 years later, leaving Norah adrift in a world that measured a woman's worth by the width of her hips and the lightness of her step. Returning home, she sought solace, but found only venom, her mother's averted eyes, her father's growl that she had brought death on a good man, just as you sour everything you touch. The town's gossip coiled around her like smoke, whispers in the general store, sidelong glances at the well, branding her cursed unlovable, a vessel too cracked to hold any man's regard. Shame burned in her chest, a constant companion, yet beneath it simmered a quiet defiance, a refusal to dissolve into the dust. Desperation led her to the train depot, where steam rose like ghosts from the rails, carrying the scent of distant promises. The car for mail-order brides brimmed with silken hopes, slender women in lace-trimmed bonnets, their laughter a melody of anticipation, eyes alight with visions of husbands, waiting like knights in the golden west. Norah boarded last, her simple wool dress a stark contrast, her bag a humble anchor as she shrank into the shadowed corner of a bench. The platform crowd pressed close, their voices a rising tide of mockery that crashed over her in waves. "Look at that one, she'll sink the whole damn train with her weight," a man bellowed, elbowing his companions to roaring approval. The brides tittered behind gloved hands, one leaning close with honeyed poison. "Who in their right mind sent for you, dear? The advertisement must have been a jest." Another chimed in, fanning herself theatrically. "Poor soul out there. He'll send her packing before the ink dries on the marriage lines." Norah's gaze fixed on the blurring fields outside, her hands twisting the bag's frayed strap until her nails bit into her palms. Tremors ran through her, hot shame warring with a deeper fury. How much more could one heart endure before it shattered beyond mending? The train rattled onward, mile after merciless mile, hurtling her toward an uncertain fate. Another door slammed in her face, or perhaps, against all odds, a hand extended in the dark. The depot at Journey's End was a whirlwind of reunions and revelry, the air thick with wildflowers and wilder cheers, as brides were swept into waiting arms. Norah lingered at the steps, the crowd's jeers swelling like a gathering storm. "Here comes the last prize, the one no man's desperate enough to claim." Laughter pealed sharp and unrelenting, pinning her in place as surely as chains. She descended slowly, the dirt gritty under her boots, her spirit fraying at the edges. Then, piercing the clamor like arrows of light, came two small voices, clear and unyielding. "We want this one, Daddy. She's the one we've been dreaming of." The throng parted in stunned ripples as twin girls, no more than 5, burst forth, Lily and Rose, golden curls wild as summer wheat, their blue dresses a splash of defiant joy amid the drab. They flung themselves at Norah's skirts, tiny fists clutching the fabric with fierce certainty. "She looks just like the mama in our storybook," Lily declared, eyes wide with wonder, strong arms for hugging storms away and a smile that chases shadows. Rose nodded solemnly, pressing a crumpled daisy into Norah's palm. Her eyes hold secrets like the river at midnight. "Please, Daddy, she's perfect for us." Their father emerged from the haze, a rancher named Caleb, broad-shouldered and sun-scarred, his face etched with the quiet grief of a man who had buried his wife to the earth's unyielding claim. He regarded Norah not with the crowd's pitying curl of lip, but with a steady gaze that seemed to peel back the layers of scorn to the woman beneath. Resilient, unbowed, the twins tugged at his coat, their pleas a chorus of innocence. For a heartbeat the world held its breath. The whispers hissed like dry leaves. Him, taking her, the widower's finally lost his senses. Caleb's voice cut through, low and resolute as the rumble of thunder on the plains. "You seeking a place to lay your head, ma'am? Reckon you've found it. Come home with us." Norah stood frozen, breath trapped in her throat, the daisy trembling in her fist. Home. The word tasted foreign, a forbidden sweetness. With a nod that cost her everything, she followed them to the weathered wagon, the twins' giggles weaving a fragile spell against the road's uncertainties. As the depot dwindled to a speck, a whisper of hope stirred in her chest. Could this be the turning or merely a crueler jest of fate? The ranch sprawled like a living promise across the rolling hills, its fences weathered but unyielding, much like the man who tended them. Norah threw herself into its rhythms with a ferocity born of proof. Dawn to dusk, she scrubbed the cabin's floors until they gleamed like polished hope, kneaded bread that rose warm and forgiving, coaxed a riot of vegetables from the stubborn soil where neglect had once reigned. Words were scarce at first, Caleb's reserve a wall built of old sorrows, his days lost to the saddle and the herd, but the twins filled the silences with their boundless light. "Miss Norah, will you braid our hair like the wind braids the willows?" Lily would ask, clambering into her lap with tangles of gold. Rose, ever the dreamer, curled close by the hearth. "Tell us of Mama in the stars. She dances there, doesn't she? With wings made of moonlight?" Norah's tales flowed soft and steady, her fingers gentle as she wove pleats and memories, the shared ache of loss binding them in ways no blood could match. Caleb watched from doorways and dusk-lit porches, his silence deepening into something watchful, tender. One fog-shrouded morning she found a pair of sturdy boots by her pallet, mended, oiled, waiting, as if he had measured her steps in the night. Small gestures like pebbles shifting a river's course, hinting at respect taking root, at walls beginning to crack, but the land tested as fiercely as it gave, and on a night when the sky split open with fury, the fragile bloom of trust nearly withered in the gale. Thunder roared like judgment unleashed, rain lashing the ranch in silver sheets that turned earth to mire. The twins, heedless in their play, had strayed too near the corral as panic seized the herd. A massive cow, eyes rolling white with terror, broke free and charged, horns lowered like scythes of fate. "Lily, Rose, inside, now!" Norah's cry tore from her throat as she sprinted through the onslaught, mud sucking at her skirts. She gathered the girls in a desperate sweep, shoving them behind the fence's splintered safety, but the beast thundered closer, its bellow drowning the storm. Norah stumbled, heart slamming against her ribs, the world narrowing to that lethal rush, time fracturing into shards of what-ifs. Then Caleb was there, a shadow on horseback, lasso singing through the downpour to snare the beast mid-stride. He hauled Norah back, yanking her into the circle of his arms as the cow veered aside, the rain a veil over their gasping breaths. The twins wailed from their shelter, and Caleb crushed them all close, his voice a broken rasp against the chaos. "You could have been taken from us, thrown yourself into the devil's path for these girls, for us." In that drenched tangle, his grip spoke what words could not, a dam breached, grief yielding to gratitude, isolation fracturing under the weight of fierce, unspoken need. Word of the scandalous housekeeper slithered through the valley like smoke from a hidden fire, coiling tightest in the shadowed pews of the little white church on Sunday. Whispers wove their old webs as Norah slipped in with the twins, hands clasped, a makeshift family defying the stairs. That rancher's folly, betting the cast-off widow, shame on the whole lot. The air thickened with judgment, eyes like arrows pricking her skin, until Caleb rose, his frame filling the aisle like a sentinel oak. His voice rolled out, steady and unyielding as prairie stone. "My daughters looked upon her soul when this town saw only blemish, and I've come to know it too, brighter than any sun-scorched day. She's no shadow to flee. She's the grace we've been starving for." The twins, undaunted, piped up from their seats, voices threading pure through the hush. "We chose Miss Norah to be our mama, forever, with stories and strong arms and love that doesn't break." Gasps rippled into sniffles. An elder woman, face creased with regret, pressed forward. "We've been fools, child, blind to the gold in plain sight. Forgive our smallness." The congregation exhaled as one, the venom dissolving into murmurs of amends, justice unfolding like a long-withheld dawn. Norah's throat tightened, tears blurring the stained-glass saints. Vindication at last not as conquest, but as quiet reclamation. Unter einem Himmel so weit wie Vergebung, am Bach, wo Weiden silberne Tränen in den Strom weinten, fand Caleb sie am Rand der Dämmerung. Die Luft summte vom Gesang der Grillen, Wildblumen nickten Geheimnisse im Wind. Er sank auf ein Knie, zog aus seiner Tasche einen Ring so bescheiden wie die Erde, Silber, graviert mit winzigen Sternen wie Versprechen, in die Nacht gemeißelt. "Norah", murmelte er, seine Hände eines Ranchers fest, trotz des Zitterns in seinem Blick. "Die Welt hat versucht, dich klein zu schnitzen, dich an deiner Leuchtkraft zweifeln zu lassen. Doch ich sehe dich ganz, die unerschütterliche Stärke, die meine Mädchen gerettet hat, die Güte, die dieses leere Heim geheilt hat. Ich bitte dich nicht, dich anzupassen, ich bitte dich, es zu erfüllen. Heirate mich, sei ihre Mutter, der Hafen meines Herzens, baue das Ewige mit uns auf." Ihr Atem stockte, ein Schluchzen entwich, als Tränen die Pfade alter Wunden nachzeichneten, nun geheilte Narben. Freude blühte wild und frei in ihrer Brust auf, jagte die letzten Schatten fort. "Ja, Caleb", flüsterte sie, die Stimme dick vor Staunen, "mit jedem Schlag, den ich noch habe." Die Zwillinge brachen aus den Schilfrohr hervor, ein Wirbel aus Kreischen und Umarmungen, und türmten sich zu einem Haufen aus Gliedern und Lachen unter den auftauchenden Sternen. In diesem heiligen Knäuel verblasste das Echo der Ablehnung zu Stille, gebar eine Familie, gewoben nicht aus Pflicht, sondern aus mutigen, wahren Entscheidungen, Beweis, dass die kleinsten Herzen die größten Erlösungen heraufbeschwören können und Liebe, einmal erblickt, uns ganz und gar beansprucht.